Sumisilang ka sa mundong ito, laking tuwa ng magulang mo, at ang kamay nila'y ang iyong ilaw. Those are the very first lines of the most famous Tagalog folk song called Anak. Means child. How is it possible that I, Christoff J. Weihman, a white Americano, is able to sing in Tagalog and speak in Tagalog? Well, I'll tell you why. Because when I was 19 years old, I answered a call. I answered a call to go to serve in the mission field. I joined a non-denominational volunteer Christian mission organization, and for the next 11 and a half years of my life, I lived in the Philippines. Oh, Wes, we came back to the States from time to time, but for the majority of that time, I lived overseas. I grew up in a small town, small Midwestern town with not a lot of cultural diversity, Ottawa, Illinois. I learned Spanish in high school, but there was really no opportunity to practice or to use that. But when I went overseas, when I landed in the Philippines, actually I did my training in Guam before that, I found out that one of my gifts was language learning. Our highest calling is to use our gifts in service to others. The world is waiting for you to heed the call, Christoff J. Weihman. Our highest calling is to use our gifts. See, when I was living in the Philippines, I knew my calling. I knew my path, my purpose. I was there to serve God. I lived all over the country. Started out in Metro Manila, lived in the urban area they call squatter zone, very close to what is called squatter zones. It's the urban poor. We did feeding programs. We did medical programs. And I learned the language along the way. Within 3 months, I was fluent in the language. I loved the Philippines so much. I loved learning another language and culture. Who here is a world traveler who's lived in another country or visited another country? It's so exhilarating, especially growing up, as I said, in a small town with not any real diversity too much in those early days. And my eyes were opened. I just loved living there. I knew my path. I knew my purpose. I got married. My now first wife is from the Philippines. We had 2 beautiful children. I thought I was going to live my entire life in the Philippines. I studied linguistics at the university in Manila. I developed the language learning program for the expatriates, for the non-Filipinos, the foreigners in the country. I traveled around the country and executed or implemented the training program, language learning program. It was amazing. Who's ever felt like you knew your purpose? You had a calling. You had a vision. You know where you were meant to be, what you were meant to do, what the calling on your life was. Well, after a period of time, after we had our 2 children, my wife got pregnant with our 3rd child. We were back in the United States, and there wasn't really a troubled pregnancy. Everything seemed to be going fine, going well. And when we arrived back in Manila, within 24 hours, she gave birth to our 3rd child, who was 2.5 pounds, 2 months premature. And I will tell you, that time was it was the beginning of the end of our marriage. Well, not the birth of our son, but he lived for 5.5 months. And all but 3 weeks of his life he spent in the incubator. After he passed away, you know, there are statistics about the death of a child and divorce. And it's very interesting that all during that time, everybody said to me, "Oh, Christoff, you're doing so well." And in fact, I wasn't doing well. And as I had mentioned, the passing of our son, our 3rd child, was the beginning of the end of our marriage. And there was also the beginning of the end of my time with the mission organization. And I didn't know what I was meant to do or be or become. Anybody ever felt lost? You had a mission, you had a calling, you had a purpose, and then it changed. Our highest calling is to use our gifts in service to others. I knew my gifts then. I knew my calling, but it took a long time afterwards for me to figure things out. I landed back in the United States. I ended up in LA, and I started pursuing the dream of acting. I did a little bit of stand-up comedy. You see how well that all worked out. No, I'm not. I had a dream and a vision. My second dream was to become a world famous actor. That did not work out. And to be a stand-up comic, that did not happen. But I will tell you this, everything that we experience leads us to where we are today. It's all energy. We're all connected. It all comes back to you. I've had the pleasure of being trained and coached by some amazing mentors. Raise your hand if you have a mentor. I know you do. We all have people in our lives that speak into our lives, that are models for us, that influence us. For me, one of those people is Les Brown, the greatest motivational speaker in the world, Les Brown. And he says this, and I always quote him, I don't know you. And it is true, because I don't know you. I don't see you, but you see me. I don't know you, but I know something about you. I know that you have gifts and talents and abilities that only you are meant to bring to this world. He says you have greatness within you. Do you know that? Do you believe that? Can you receive that? When we do our live events, my wife and I, we produce live speaking events. So our flagship event, Ultimate Speaker Competition, we've been doing since 2019. We have another event called the Heart-Centered Summit. Whenever we do our live events, we have everybody in the audience to turn to somebody, find a partner, and say to them out loud with energy and emotion so that they can hear it. You say to each other, you have greatness within you. Well, we can't do that right here, but I just want you to stop whatever you're doing. Look, if you're beside somebody, I want you to look at them and say, you have greatness within you. Go ahead and do it now. Or just speak it out loud into the ether sphere. You have greatness within you. Yes, absolutely. And that greatness is those gifts and talents and abilities that we are all meant to share and to shine into the world. Now I want you to turn to that person or speak out into the ether sphere. If you can find a partner, that'd be awesome. But otherwise, just say out loud and claim it for yourself now. I have greatness within me. Go ahead and say it. I have greatness within me. How does that feel? Now, when we do this live in person in our group or in our events, you can feel the energy rise and the excitement when the first statement is said, you have greatness within you. But then when we turn it back and ask the people to claim it for themselves, I have greatness within me, sometimes the energy goes down. Why is that? Because we are not taught to walk around saying, I am great. I'm awesome. I'm amazing. And yet, if we are not convinced of our greatness, how can we expect someone else to follow, to listen, to enroll, to take you up on whatever you have to offer? It's so important for us to believe in the greatness that is within us. All of us have gifts and talents and abilities, and some of us are holding back. We're allowing self-doubt. We're allowing lack of confidence. We're allowing limiting beliefs to hold us back, to constrict us, to prevent us from playing big in the world. I know that I have in the past. I've allowed my limiting beliefs, my self-doubt, to hold me back. I became a speaker and I was confident in that, but I would never put myself forward as a speaker coach. I would look at my mentors and say, oh, I'm not as good as them. Anybody here ever felt that kind of limiting belief? I know you have. But I will tell you this, I know now what my purpose and calling is. I had my calling when that calling in the mission field ended, it took me a while to figure it out. I went from service in ministry to service in customer service. I developed a passion for customer service and hospitality. I've written 2 books, Getting to Wow, Everybody Wins with 5-Star Service, and The Customer Experience. And I launched a service and hospitality training company because I know that my calling, my gift is service, to serve others. And there's many ways to serve people. Our highest calling is to use our gifts in service to others. See, our gifts, they're not for us. Our gifts are not for us. Some of you who are watching this, you have had an idea, a thought, a vision to write a book, but you haven't taken action on it. Some of you have in your heart a desire to start a nonprofit, but it's just a thought or an idea. It's a vision in your heart, but you haven't taken action. I want to encourage you, whatever it is. Some of you are called to be speakers. Some of you are actually called to be on stages like this, virtual or in person, because both are possible and available now. Some of you have a message inside of you, but you haven't done anything about bringing it forward. One of the speakers that I work with, PJ Belanger, she says the things that we go through become survival guides for other people. What you have experienced, raise your hand if you've had any loss in your life. If you've experienced any heartache, pain, sorrow, suffering. I know it's a rhetorical question because we all have. Every one of us have gone through things that have been heart-wrenching and painful. I don't believe that those things happen to us just for us to experience them. I do believe that that pain can turn into purpose. That pain can turn into power. That pain can turn into something that is a present, a gift for others. I love working with speakers. I now know that my calling, while I felt disillusioned after I left the mission field and I felt lost for a period of time, I now know that my calling is to connect with people who are heart-centered leaders. Raise your hand if you consider yourself a person who is heart-centered. What that means is somebody that you lead by heart. It doesn't mean that you don't care about money. It doesn't mean that you volunteer and you don't want to get paid. No, I have a business, and your business can only thrive if you have customers who are paying you money. I'm not saying about negating money. I'm saying that that's not the driving force. Because when you show up and you are serving people out of your heart, and you are sharing your gifts and talents and abilities to the betterment of others, people will pay you. I want you to write this down. GIFTS, gifts, right? We're talking about gifts and talents. Gifts stands for greatness. Remember we just said a few moments ago, you have greatness inside. So greatness inside flowing through to shine. Greatness inside flowing through to shine. Repeat that after me. Greatness inside flowing through to shine. That's what we're here for. That's what we're here for, is to use our gifts, to use our talents and our abilities. See, I believe that you and I are superheroes. Who has a favorite superhero? I want you to think about your favorite superhero. I was talking on stage a while ago and somebody said to me, you know, they're not real, right? I said, I don't know what you're talking about. They're not real. Think about your favorite superhero. Why do you like them? Why do you resonate with them? Is it just because of their brightly colored uniform? I don't think so. Do you love Captain America because of that amazing outfit that he wears? Is it because of the shield? Do you love Hulk because you just love, I don't know, people that are powerful when they're angry? You resonate with superheroes because there's something that connects you with that character trait, with that power, with that ability. But as I said, I believe that you and I are both superheroes. We have superpowers and abilities. But just like every superhero that had to go through a period of time of learning how to wield, just imagine Spider-Man. He just figured out that he's be able to shoot webs out of his hands. Wow, freaking out. But as he's doing it for the first couple of times, he doesn't know how to fling it. He doesn't know how strong it is. He's flinging along, and all of a sudden he smashes into a building because he doesn't know how to properly wield his superpowers. That's the same as us. See, I know that some of you are called to be speakers, and I love working with heart-centered leaders. Even if you don't know that you're a speaker yet, I believe you have a message inside you. I believe you have something that you have learned, your knowledge, your expertise, your passion, your pain, all of that has a purpose. Some of you are what I describe as with a message in your heart, but unsure where to start. But you would love to be confident, connecting, and captivating on stage. Repeat after me. It's all energy. It's all energy. We're all connected. Yes, we're all connected. And it all comes back to you. What also is true is it all comes back to me. Whatever we send out is what we receive back. Some of you are called to speak on stage. Some of you are called to write your book. Some of you are called to something bigger than what you are doing currently. I have a mentor, Bill Walsh, who says, your story is too big to play small. I want you to write this down. My story is too big to play small. Say it after me. My story is too big to play small. My story is too big to play small. See, the world is waiting for you to show up in a bigger way, in a stronger way, in a more powerful way. Your gifts are not for you. Your gifts are meant to flow through you. You and I are meant to be a channel of blessing through which our greatness shines to the world. Are you getting this? Who's getting this? Is this making sense? And it may not be speaking, but it's something. You are meant to be a person of influence in your realm, in your arena, in your industry, in your business, in your company, in your community. You are meant to shine your light. You know, when Gotham City is in dire straits, when they have an arch criminal that is wreaking havoc on the city, they do something. They put something up in the air. Who knows what it is? You know what I'm talking about. They shine a bat signal in the sky. Why? To call Batman. So that Batman knows that he is needed, that it's his time to show up, that it is his turn to arrive, to bring his talents and abilities to save Gotham. I'm inviting you, if you're a heart-centered leader, if you're a speaker that wants to elevate the quality of your speaking, if you want to be able to craft your message, take what's inside of you and draw it out and deliver it in a way that can be connecting and captivating to your audience. I'm inviting you, if you are a heart-centered leader, but you don't even consider yourself a speaker yet, to consider this, that you have something inside of you that the world needs. The world is waiting for you to show up. Our highest calling, write this down, it's the quote that I gave you earlier, our highest calling is to use our gifts in service to others. The world is waiting for you to heed the call. I want to share one last thing with you. It's a poem that I wrote. And if you are inspired and want to connect with me, you can go to that right there. You see that? Just put .com after it. Standing Ovation. Oh, no, that's not right. standingovationmasterclass.com. I'm going to do a free 2-hour speaker training for you so that you can discover the formula to turn your past, your pain into purpose, about audience engaging techniques, to leverage the power of influence and impact, and to know the joy of the standing ovation. And standing ovation is so much more than just this, rising to your feet. It is so much more. It's about the impact that you create in people's lives. I want to end with this epitaph. Tomb of the unknown speaker. Here lies the body of we don't know who, for sadly the world never knew his name. He had a message in his heart to share, but self-doubt and fear kept him from the game. He experienced so much in his life, triumphing over pain, heartache, and sorrow, but his hesitation made him question. Watch me, he said, I'll be on that stage tomorrow. This man had a dream to share his gift. He felt conviction and longing in his heart. He had a plan to be on the biggest stages, to inspire others, his message to impart. He watched his mentors, he listened and learned. He said aloud unto himself, that will be me. The dream, the passion within him burned. It will happen. Just you wait and see. To be the world's greatest speaker, that's my calling, to change the hearts of women and men. But days turned into weeks, then months, then years of stalling. I'll be the greatest speaker in the world. But the people just said, when? I'm practicing and training to be ready when the time is right. The world's unknown speaker had a beautiful gift, which he kept within. So we, the world, never knew him, never heard him, nor was blessed by him, because sadly, he never did begin. I'm Christoff J. Weihman. Thank you so much for spending this time. CHAMPIAM, thank you so much for what you are doing with this amazing summit. It's your time to leave your mark, my friends. It's your time to shine. The world is waiting for you to show up. Go to standingovationmasterclass.com, click the link, or connect with me, Christoff J. Weihman, or you may want to join us on stage at the Ultimate Speaker Competition. Until then, God bless you, and remember, the world is waiting for you to shine. Cheers.